Indie Beacon Radio with hostess Rox Burkey. Welcome to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. You can send questions for each show on Twitter using the hashtag IndieBeacon. Now sit back and enjoy learning about our guest for this show.
Hey, good evening and welcome to Indie Beacon. I am so excited tonight to be able to speak to one of my favorite authors, Mike Clifton, better known as Michael Scott Clifton, right?
Correct.
So, we have so many things to talk about. You have been a busy man, impressively busy, actually. So I'm a fan of your, urban fantasy and your fantasy, but your latest book is a whole nother genre. Edison Jones and the Anti-Gray Elevator? Really?
Anti-grav elevator, yes.
Where'd you come up with that name? That's fabulous.
Well, I taught science for 21 years, and so I have an interest in science, and I also have an interest in space flight. And I know that 2/3 of the cost of putting anything in orbit, in a stable orbit around Earth, is involved in the liftoff rocket. And if there was ever a way to produce a more efficient and cheaper way of lifting payloads into space, then it would revolutionize the space industry, also the satellite industry. So I just thought, what about an anti-grav magnet? It's possible, still obviously more science fiction than fact, though.
Hey, I believe in things that change very quickly with science and technology. So I'm right there with you. So you're right. You were an educator for a long time. And some of your stories really go on to, a lot of different subjects. So why did you decide to write at all?
Well, I think that every writer, every author was a reader first, a passionate reader. And I think that good authors still read, and they're still prolific readers. I still like to read, but I also have a very active imagination. I've always had one. And when I was also a coach for 21 years, and sometimes on those long bus trips where you're taking kids to and from games, you got plenty of time to think, and did some of my best thinking about coming up with some storylines, on some of those trips, especially at night, about 10 o'clock or 11, and there's not much going on except the road ahead.
So when you decided to go down this writer path that you're down, did you plan on writing in different genres? Because the one you just mentioned, Edison Jones and the Anti-Grav Elevator, that's really a young adult. So you off the fantasy a little bit.
Well, science fiction and fantasy used to be pretty much the same genre 30 years ago or more. Nowadays, obviously, they're separate. They're still first cousins, I think, because a lot of times science fiction and fantasy, your world building, your stories about the what ifs. What if we did this, or what if this actually occurred? And so it wasn't much of a leap, I don't think. Now the younger audience, young adult, was actually a little bit more challenging. But I taught junior high kids, and I was administrator for 17 years with middle school, so I know them very well. I know the beast very well, so to speak.
So how many of those kids are part of your stories? And are they good guys or bad guys?
Well, characters, that you come up with, a lot of times they're people you observe, in public education. I've said this before, and although it's tongue-in-cheek, it really is true. You get to see virtually every kind of person in full and living color, girls, boys, and adults. And I've had thousands of students and parents that I've had contact with. And So it's really not so much the kids, the characters that you come up with, it's the types of people, if you
Right.
understand what I'm saying.
I do.
You know, the bully versus the bullied, okay? The ringleader as opposed to the follower, that sort of thing. So I didn't really have any, and I was thinking about this in preparation for the interview, you know, do you write a story based on a character in your head, or do you write the story and then fit the character to the story that you're writing? And they just have to be real in terms of the reader being able to relate to them.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great point, though. That's a great way to look at it. So I bet you that you write both ways. I bet you get a character and then you get driven by a story, because your stories are very interesting.
Sometimes I have the character in my head. I always start with the story, though, and then I try to fit the characters with them. But you have, you know, again, they have to be valid characters that you would see an average reader, for example, in everyday life, not something so off the wall you can't relate to it, to him or her or whoever it is that your main or even minor characters are.
So I know that you have won some awards for your writing.
A few, yes.
Is there one that stands out that you're most proud of at this point?
Well, you know, I've only been writing full-time for about 3 years. And although the first book I published was 11 years ago, it was only over the last 2 or 3 years I really understood exactly what all this was about. I've been part of a writer's group for over 11 years, going on 12.
Wow.
But when I was working, you know, it was just sort of periphery to me, and I didn't know what happens if you went all in, feet and hands. And so I guess the thing I am most proud of is, since I have done this full time, the 3 books that I've published all received 5-star ratings from readers' favorite, which is, I think, a big kudos. And because I've talked to other writers and authors, and, you know, that's kind of like the gold standard, you know, other than the New York Times bestseller list or something like that. But, you know, you're always looking for good reviews, and those mean a lot to me because they're 3 different types of books, but they all still got the same rating. And I guess the other thing, which is close to it, if I can add one more, is The Janus Witch, which was my first book when I decided I wanted to do this full time. It was a indie author project regional selection, and they only select 50. Of course, it's the Texas region around here, but still it's only 50 books. And they selected mine as one of their 50.
Well, it happens to be the first book of yours that I read because I was captivated by the cover. I mean, it's a fantastic book. It really is. It's one of those that's very hard to put down. And I'm certainly not a young adult anymore. So, you know, what can I tell you? It's a really compelling book. So that leads me to kind of want to find out who the gentleman is behind you.
That is a grandmaster, a wizard called Alabaster John. Well, Alabaster John is a character in my second book, The Open Portal, which is the first book in a fantasy series called The Conquest of the Veil. And the genesis of Alabaster John was, I went to Fort Worth Book Fest last year, and they had a writer there, author there, and we were in a room with like 50 or 60 or 100 other authors, and it was there around Sundance Square in Fort Worth. And he had I thought it was a mannequin, but it was one of those animatronic things that he bought from a gift store or a gag store that was going out of business. And it looked like Festus from the Addams Family, you know, the Mad Monk.
Yep.
And the traffic was pretty slow there at the book fest, but everybody went to his booth because of that figure of the Mad Monk. So I decided, well, I'm going to see if I can find me a mannequin and dress it up. And next time I do a book event, I'm going to put it right next to my table and see if I can have the same kind of draw that he does. But,
okay, and with that, Mike, we're going to take a short break and hear from our sponsors. So stick around for the next segment. I'm Rox Burkey.
And I'm Charles Brakefield. We're award-winning co-authors, Brakefield and Burkey, of the Enigma book series. There are 10 books in the series, with book number 11 planned for release in January 2020.
Each story has a central technology focus ranging from identity theft to cryptocurrency and now AI wars. These adult techno thrillers pit cyber good guys against cyber thugs across the darknet.
In our world, technology is today's weapon of choice. You can enjoy ebook format, paper, or Audible. We want your feedback.
Until the next story, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, hello there, my friends. My name is Randy James, independent voiceover producer in the Dallas, Texas area, available to write and record a 30-second commercial, much like the one you're hearing right now. It's a great way to help increase awareness and exposure to your book title. It's easy to do. Simply call me and we'll brainstorm on a few ideas, and in a few hours, I'll whip something up and send you a digital file ready to use. Remember, call or text me, Randy James, at 214-762-1942.
Welcome to IndieLector.store, an online bookstore where the discriminating reader can find award-winning books. IndieLector.store is not a big corporation, so we can give up to 80% of the sales directly to the author. Help us support them by buying a great book at IndieLector.store.
Hello, I am the author and poet Denise Bryson. I am the author of The Things That Cross My Mind, Love's Reality, both in book and audio form. I am also noted as one of the best poets of 2011. I have 2 new projects coming up. One is the Blinky series, where Blinky tells us all about our coins and our bills for our children. I also have a book coming out called Say Ye. It's quotes from Denise Bryson, just inspirational and that will help you along the way.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
And welcome back to Indie Beacon, where I'm here with Michael Scott Clifton. And Mike, we were talking about your wonderful little wizard buddy behind you and how you found him when you were near Sundance Square in Fort Worth, I think. And so you dressed him up?
I did. My wife helped me with that. Now the face, and it's hard for y'all to see that because I've got my
That's okay.
Computer tilted as high as I can, but modern mannequins are nothing but white plastic. Their faces are featureless.
Right.
Okay. She made a mask, or actually almost a molded face to put on there, and I wish y'all could see it a little closer, because if you were just walking into the room, you would do a double take, because it would take you a minute to figure out that's not really a real person, because it is that lifelike. And she did a great job.
So we're going to talk in a little bit. We're going to talk about where you're going to be seen next, and when somebody can get their picture taken with him, because I think he's fabulous. So in this segment, though, I really want to go into your writing process. So what do you do? Is this, you say it's full-time, you're all in. Okay, I totally get that. What does that mean for you?
Well, I'm a panzer. I don't have complicated storyboards and character arcs and all of that. I have an idea, obviously, of what a story I would like to write, and then I sit down to write it. The first book I wrote was The Treasure Hunt Club, and I was really organized on that. And I actually wrote the ending and wrote backwards for about a third of the book. And then I discovered, when I started writing from the beginning, hey, there's a lot of things that I would have liked to have done differently now that I'm deeper into the story. but I can't change it now unless I go back and throw out all the other things that I've already written. So I decided that from now on, whenever I would write, I would just let whatever kind of inspiration come to me. And I do a pretty good job of getting that in my head in the right way, but I don't want to limit myself by having, straitjacketed, which works for lots of people. And like I said, I'm not criticizing, but for me, it's I write, and then ideas come to me that sort of go with the story, and it's sort of a work in progress until I finish at the very end. I have an idea again about the ending and the general story. You have to have that.
Sure.
But I don't like to be limited by what you've already created. Then you have to stay within those parameters.
Right. So you really write one story at a time. You don't work on multiple works at a time. And so who does your draft reading and your beta reading? Is that first pass through your wife or through your writers group?
We actually have a critique group. I belong to a critique group, and we have 6 or 7 members. Okay. And we meet every week. And we each pass off samples of our work to each other. Might be a chapter, might be 2. And then we critique it, and we either send it via email or computer. But we meet face to face, or at least we did until COVID. And we have, we go over all of the things that are sort of face to face. And this helped me immeasurably because they're not only beta readers, but there's 2 or 3 editors in the group and people that have different genres as well. So you get different angles and different directions from people who are pretty good at what they do. So that's helping more than anything else. I've had beta readers, and I still do that. But I don't know, it's getting harder and harder to find a beta reader that you don't have to pay to do the beta reading. Used to, you could just post it on Facebook or your Twitter, and you'd get, of course, some of them were wacky, but you have to be careful. But you'd have as many beta readers as you'd like. And now they all want you to pay them because, I don't know, maybe they figured out they could make some money off it. So I stick with the critique group and the handful of beta readers that I've used in all the other books.
So I know that you do have 4 books out right now.
Right.
And the very first one that you mentioned a moment ago was released in 2018. And so that's pretty exciting for you. That was the Treasure Hunt Club.
That's 2011.
Oh, it was 2011. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Janice Witch was 2018.
Okay. And then the Open Portal was 19.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have this one out, but I thought that you were going to have Open Portal Conquest of the Veil Book 2.
It's actually finished, and a good friend of ours, Caleb Purley, actually read it and did some editing for me. And but I decided, I've held off. I was trying to see with the COVID epidemic, it's sort of put everything in a freeze frame. I don't know about other authors, but I thought, well, I don't know how much longer this is going to last. Do I go ahead and get it published now and just do everything through social media and not have any book events, and that sort of thing? So I think I'm going to go ahead and just get it done and have it probably published before the end of the summer. But, like I said, I don't know. I don't kind of caught in no man's land. You know what I'm saying? You proceed with a book. I've already got one book I released in March, Edison Jones, right as COVID started. And I don't know, kind of undecided.
So you and I actually met originally at a book festival in Fort Worth, and you are very personable, and you're very good one-on-one working with readers and talking to them. And I think you enjoy that. Maybe that's the teacher in you, but you seem to like that a lot. And I do as well. I mean, I like meeting readers and shaking their hands and, having them ask questions and being able to tell them that. In lieu of that, have you done anything else during the COVID to try and reach out to your readers in a, face-to-face kind of thing video-wise?
Well, I don't think I really have. I've changed up my website. I've done more social media marketing and events and that sort of thing. But you know, as far as trying to do some sort of, you know, some video conferencing or face-to-face with readers,
Yep.
you know, I haven't really done that, and maybe I should. But
I don't know if there's a right or wrong kind of thing, and I do know that, you know, some people are turning to podcasting. I didn't know if that was something that you were taking a look at. But so, are there any events, festivals that are upcoming that haven't been canceled at this point that you're really looking forward to and hope they don't get canceled?
Well, I actually have a virtual Comic-Con that I'll be part of Saturday, June the 13th, which is Balk Springs Library Comic-Con. I was supposed to appear there, but instead I did, ironically, yes, I did a video presentation for them, which they are going to show. And so I'll be doing that. Of course, you know, everything has either been postponed or outright canceled. The postpones, I'm assuming, if they're not a month or two away from now, are basically going to be canceled. They have Longview Art Walk at Henderson County Library Comic-Con, which is in Athens, and I was going to do that. Those are in July. I don't know if they're going to have them. The Shreveport GeekCon, which is in Shreveport, which I was part of, has been canceled, so we won't be doing that. Live and Kicking Art Show, which is also in Henderson, or actually it's in the City of Henderson Civic Center.
Okay.
Geekend in Kilgore, that's on a Sunday, and that's actually 2 days. And then Red River County Public Library and Author Showcase. These are all up in the air, right? They're scheduled. They haven't said they're canceled or postponed, but that's Saturday, October the 3rd, and that's in the Red River County Public Library. The Tyler Comic-Con is still on, and that's going to be the first weekend of November 7th and 8th. Mount Pleasant has the Deck the Halls Holiday Bazaar the next weekend. And, you know, Roz, if I knew these things for a fact, I sure would tell you, but I do have a newsletter. Which I've been updating.
Wait just a second. We're going to have to take a short break to hear from our sponsors, Mike. And when we come back, I want to hear about that newsletter, and I want to hear a little bit more about how people can reach out.
You bet.
Stay with us again.
Hi, I'm Jerry Reedy, author of the book Heat in the Vegas Night. The book is a true inside story of a group of sophisticated blackjack players that take large sums of money from Las Vegas, led by one man, the boss, who trained a group of ex-college athletes from the Pacific Northwest to use a mirror to see the dealer's hole card in blackjack. The true story, stranger than fiction, is about casino espionage, teamwork, guts and determination, and courage. Find the book at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Target.
Thank you for watching or listening to Indie Beacon Radio. Our sponsor, IndieLector.store, is the only bookstore that pays authors their fair share for book sales. Help authors to succeed and enjoy a great book by supporting them at IndieLector.store. Enjoy a 10% discount with coupon code SHOPPER20 at IndieLector.store. Coupon valid until December 31st, 2020. That's IndieLector.store, coupon code SHOPPER20.
The 5th Annual Authors Marketing Event. 2 days of live seminars in marketing for authors. The only organization that certifies authors in marketing. Live and free to the first 100 authors registered. Sponsored by Bubblish, empowering entrepreneurs, and Indie Lector Store, paying authors for their fair share. Head to www.2020.authorsmarketingguild.com today.
What started as a love letter to her son has become an international love letter for all parents to their children. Now you can read acclaimed author Shanalee Charbonneau's story to your children. When her son was very sick, she calmed him by singing her own song to him. She turned that song into the book, My Mama Loves Me, I'm Her Little Boy. She wrote 3 more magical books for all parents and kids 6 and under. Available at Indie Lector, Amazon, and all local and national outlets.
Authors Marketing Guild is a membership-owned organization designed to help authors succeed and learn how to better market and sell themselves and their books. Join us at authorsmarketingguild.com and receive so many benefits you'll wonder why you didn't join sooner. That's authorsmarketingguild.com.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
So welcome back to Indie Beacon. I'm here with Mike Clifton, and we've been having a great conversation. Mike, you've got all these books out here. I'm so envious that you're getting so many wonderful books out and good traction on them. So you have another one that's coming out, and that's going to be The Conquest of the Veil, book number 2. And what is that still called, the open portal or the closed portal?
It's called Escape from Wheel. That's book 2.
Okay.
Book 2, Escape from Wheel. I've actually got the book cover and the book completed. I've got some editing to do, and I've got a little bit more work on the book cover. I would have already had it ready to go by June the 1st, but as we talked about earlier with COVID and all of that, that sort of scrambled the plans. So now I have to decide to move forward. I'm probably going to go ahead and get it done and have it ready to go maybe by the end of summer, and then whatever happens, happens.
So you mentioned earlier that you have been doing a lot of work on your website while you've had the time to be able to do that and building up your social media. So, I think it's a perfect way to say, what is your website? How can people reach out to you?
Well, my website is www.michaelscottclifton.com. So it's simply my full pen name, michaelscottclifton.com, with a www on the front and a .com on the end. And that'll take you to my website. You can Google author MS Clifton, AUTHOR MSCLIFTON, author MS Clifton, and it'll take you to all my social media sites, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of those. And they all have information, obviously.
So how much time are you spending in building up and working on your social media? Because I find it takes a lot of time, and a lot of authors I speak to do as well.
I don't like it. I know some people do. I've spent more time on it over the last 3 months than I probably did the previous 6 months combined.
Wow.
And obviously, because that's the only way you can market yourself. But if you're going to be an indie author, you have to do that. If you don't want to do that, you probably don't need to be publishing books. So that's just what you have to do. And I, like I said, I bite my lip and I do it. Now, how good I am at that, Rox, is another question entirely, but we'll see about that.
Well, it's like going to school, right? The more you do it, the better you get at it.
Yep. And like a bicycle, once you're on there, you know how to do it. Well, no, that's not quite true, because technology changes every passing day.
So, Michael, when people go to your website, michaelscottclifton.com, you have an absolutely wonderful front page about journey into realms of magic and mystery. Is that where you're focused at this point, is really magic and mystery? Fantasy,
Edison Jones and the Anti-Grav Elevator, that's a little bit off what I have been writing, but I'm going to continue that too. I'm going to probably continue writing Edison Jones as well. I have an active imagination, and sometimes it doesn't always neatly correspond with fantasy, but I love world building And like I said, if you've got a good imagination, fantasy's a great place to be at.
Now, if folks come to your website and they send you an email, do you respond to them, and do you like that?
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay.
And they can go to my website, again, at www.michaelscottclifton.com, and they can join my newsletter. And about every 4 to 6 weeks, I send out an update, which includes, as we were talking earlier, about which venues may possibly still be open that I'm part of, and those which have been canceled or postponed. So, and I also give information about upcoming books, including Escape from Wheel, the next book in the Conquest of the Veil series.
I am so looking forward to that. Folks, I hope that you get Michael's books and you read them and you review them. Authors love reviews. We like to have good, honest feedback on our books. So check out Edison Jones and the Anti-Grav Elevator and look for his other books. And Mike, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I hope you had fun.
Well, I did. I appreciate it. Thank you, Ross.
Thank you for listening to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. To learn more about Indie Beacon services, to be a guest on the show, or to advertise on our show, please visit our website.
Indie Beacon Radio with hostess Rox Burkey. Indie Beacon Radio is produced by B. Allen Bourgeois for Authors Marketing Guild LLC, copyright 2020. Voiceover by Randy James, Lydia Bello, and B. Allen Bourgeois. To be a sponsor of the show or for more information, please email us at info@authorsmarketingguild.com. To be interviewed for the show, please complete the form at radio.authorsmarketingguild.com. Music Always Rejoice by Ramcord